right? So
Mm-hmm.
she's thinking longevity and she's thinking legacy compared to thinking of trending and viralness at this moment. There was a huge release. Finally, Adele is back. She released an album called 30. And it has been highly anticipated. I was looking up Adele's stats real quick, right? You know how many Grammys she won? You know? You know?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Nah, enlighten us.
15. 15
Wow.
Grammys. 9
Wow.
Brits, multiple billboards, a
Wow.
global what is that called? A Golden Globe Award. She has a lot. She's done a lot, right? And so of course there's probably a lot of pressure going towards this album and things like that, and especially with the new rave of artists trying to just break on TikTok and things like that, right? So with being a music artist, you got to pay attention to the trends. You got to pay attention to what's going to work, what's not. And she said something very interesting about TikTok as far as was she going to get on it? Was she going to make music for it? Things like that. So this is what Adele said.
But it was like, if everyone's making music for the TikTok, who's making the music for my generation? Who's making the music for my peers? I will do that job gladly. I'd rather cater to people that have are on my level in terms of the amount of time we've spent on Earth and all the things we've been through. Then I don't want 12-year-olds listening to this record. It's a bit too deep. But the 30 and 40-year-olds that are all committing to themselves and doing therapy, that's my vibe.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Come on, Moose.
Like how she said the TikTok. And she said, I like that. She said, yeah, I'm not going to make music for the TikTok.
The TikTok.
Yeah. Nah, it's dope, man. So first off, let me just kind of give a little background story, or at least my personal experience with it. So I've always liked Adele's music, believe it or not. And then fun fact, her and my dad share the same name, different spelling, right? So before, yeah. My dad's name was also Adele, but he spelled his name without the E at the end. So that was always pretty cool. I was like, yo, that's crazy. But no, so here's some of the stuff that I learned about her that I thought was fascinating. And it kind of makes sense as to why she's going on this route, right? For one, she wrote her debut single in 10 minutes, right? So a super talented artist, she's really into her craft.
Right.
On top of that, she came up off of MySpace, right? So she was found through an independent record label because she put her music out on MySpace, and then she was picked up through there. So I find it super interesting that was her career path, and she's not willing to make a quite adjustment, or at least be open to the idea of TikTok. Now, and the reason why I'm saying that, Nicky, is because MySpace has absolutely vanished off of planet Earth.
Gone.
I don't know anyone who has
Gone.
a MySpace account or anything like that, right? So while I think what she's saying makes sense, because she understands that her audience may not necessarily all live on TikTok, I think she's also making a huge assumption that people of older generation, the 30s or whatever, are also not on TikTok, right? So that's just a blanket statement of oh, maybe only teenagers are on TikTok, which is not necessarily true, right? So for me, I'm dang, super huge fan of the music. I love what she's about. The story is incredible. The bounce back. Of course, there's a famous clip that he talks about where he mentions, or one of his mixtape speeches, that he mentions her name and talks about one of her pieces, which I think is really cool. But yeah, for me, I find it super interesting that someone who came up on a platform that is no longer around would make that statement, in the sense of saying, well, yeah, my audience is just not there, so I'm going to make music or focus on other places. That's kind of how I translated that. So yeah, I don't know that I necessarily agree, but
I definitely don't agree.
Right. Yeah.
But
so super interesting. Yeah, that stance.
Yeah, I like that she's going this direction, because it's just what she knows that works, right? with the success that she's had, why switch it up right now? That there's a pros and cons to that, right? When she came, TikTok wasn't so relevant, right? So she didn't need to concentrate too much on social media as much as people are doing right now. So she may not see the value in it, but also she's not waving to just what's working at this moment. She's already established. Now, I think if this was going to be her first album, right, her first time coming out, she may have to pay attention to those kind of things. But since she's already established everything she needed to do, she doesn't really have to prove much. And she knows that at least her core audience is going to listen regardless of any type of social media, any type of trends that are happening, right? So if you focus on your core audience, they're going to follow you regardless of wherever they are, regardless if they're on social media or not, or if they're in the metaverse or not, and things like that. They're always going to come back to where you are because you've already planted the seed. So I can see why she says that and doing that and staying strong on it because she's established. Now, I do agree with you. I disagree that 30s and 40-year-olds are not on TikTok, because they sure are. They may not be active. They may not be the ones that are creating on TikTok, but for sure they're watching.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know a single person that isn't watching TikTok, right? Now, if she has that type of song that is, will make a really good skit or make a really good dance, the kids are going to pick it up regardless. She doesn't actually have to intend on making a song for TikTok like some of these other artists. Her catalog is so strong and her music is so powerful that somebody's going to catch on to it, whether it's, of older age or even younger age. They're going to pick up on it and they're going to make it trending for her. So when you don't concentrate on the trends, you become a trend. That's really how you have to look at it. When you intentionally try to be a trend, you never are. You always miss it somehow, some way. But it tends to be when you're not concentrating on being trend, on being viral, on being the top of the top, is when you actually become into that place and people pick up to what you are doing easier. And it's almost like a hidden gem for them. Like, yo, I could be the first one doing this. And then they do it. And then other people are like, I want to be a part of it. So it's a lesson to look at what Adele is saying. And, our next lesson coming up, as far as you want to stay strong and focus with what your intuition and what your vibe is over what maybe people are telling you based off what's happening right now, because what's happening right now is what's happening right now. You're thinking of longevity. You're thinking of what's going to last longer. If I cater to these particular people who I've been catering to, right? They've grown old with me. So I'm going to cater to them. And as they get older, they're still going to remember my name. They're still going to remember my music. They're going to still remember the things that I've done and did for them and just served them instead of serving the masses, right? So she's thinking longevity and she's thinking legacy compared to thinking of trending and viralness at this moment. So I give Adele props for that, because I think that's really dope of her, as far as just staying true to who she is. And we'll see clear. I think her numbers are going to be crazy. She's probably going to be #1 on the billboards for a while. She'll probably win more awards. So her strategy on this, I think this is her second album. Don't quote me. I'm not the super Adele fan, but I know this is another album. This is not her first. So I think this one's going to be a success too. And we'll see what if she does become a trend in the future. I mean,
Yeah, no, for sure. I like that.